Hello YouTube, it is your boy GZTV back with another video, and in this video we are going to be talking about the 2006 supernatural horror film directed by Christoph Gans and written by Roger Avery. It's based on the video game series of the same name published by Konami, Silent Hill, and it's always interesting to talk about video game adaptations. This is the first time I've ever I've known what Silent Hill has been for a while, but this is the first time of me being introduced just the franchise. I haven't even played any of the games, but yeah, we're gonna do some critical reception, my own review. We're gonna talk about what happened. This is a spoiler review, so if you haven't played the game, if you haven't watched the movie, then obviously go do that before you view this video. So yeah, that's just the checkpoint there. If you haven't done it, go ahead and go watch it. It's 2 hours. It's a bit much, but yeah. So getting into the plot, kind of what happened. It's not really that intricate of a plot. It's pretty simple. A lot of these horror movies I've been watching recently has been kind of like traumatic things, like post-traumatic events that come back to haunt you. I guess that's kind of what a horror movie is, really. A lot of them. But this follows Rose Da Silva and her husband Christopher, who are disturbed by their adopted daughter Sharon's constant sleepwalking and nightmares about Silent Hill, a town in West Virginia that was abandoned in the 1970s due to a massive coal seam fire. And it's always interesting to get movies like this with like backstories and a tragedy behind it. We got the Hills Have Eyes, kind of like, they kind of share that same sort of sentiment. Like there's just this group of people, tragedy struck. They got fucking destroyed. Their whole bloodlines got wiped out, and now they're back for like revenge, and it's really interesting. But yeah, so desperate for a solution, Rose takes Sharon on a trip to Silent Hill to find answers. Now, when they're going on this trip, they think they're just going to some abandoned place with empty buildings, maybe find some like sentimental value there, and get her some memories, and maybe she'll have a good time. I don't know. But her erratic behavior concerns police officer Sybil Bennett. When they encounter her at a gas station en route, she notices these people are acting a little weird, like they might be chasing something. I don't know. So, as they enter Silent Hill, a girl steps out into the road, causing Rose to crash and black out. And we will later find out who this girl is and like the importance to the story. She awakens in the fog-shrouded dimension of Silent Hill and realizes that Sharon is missing. Like, where the hell did my daughter go? Take my eyes off her when I get blacked out, unluckily, and now she's fucking gone. So, searching the town for Sharon, Rose pursues the girl she encountered prior to the crash, who resembles Sharon. And again, later on, we'll get a little bit more background about who this girl really is. So, at various points, the town suddenly transitions into a nightmarish world inhabited by inhuman monsters, including the fearsome Pyramid Head. Pyramid Head's one of the... I've heard people talk about this game a little bit. It's one of the most like iconic like boss fights in the game, I think. Maybe not. I think he's like a boss guy in the game, though. I might be wrong there. But Sybil encounters and tries to arrest Rose, so they kind of meet back up together in this town. And by the way, we'll soon figure out that there's no escaping this place. You're not just going to get out happily ever after. But while attempting to bring her to the local station, they realize they were trapped, all roads out of town ending in a mysterious cliff. So they're like, yeah, we're stuck in this fucking dimension. We're going to have to find a way out of here. So Rose encounters many other inhuman creatures and learns of Alyssa Gillespie, a young girl burned as a witch by the Brethren, the town's fanatical Manichaean cult. There's cults. It's a pretty evil movie. Like, if you're religious, probably shouldn't watch this because it's kind of messed up. Some of the values that these people hold, it is a bit strange. But yeah, I've learned to kind of immunize myself from that and not really worry about it. But her mother, Dahlia, who's Alyssa's mother, wanders the streets as an outcast, guilt-ridden over her negligence that led to Alyssa's suffering. So, in the real world, Christopher searches the abandoned town with policeman Thomas Gucci. I think it's funny his last name's Gucci. But they find nothing. The town appears to them simply as a dilapidated, abandoned place devoid of fog or creatures. Yeah, like, keep in mind, the other characters, they're just in, like, this fucking whole nother dimension. Like, it's a separate world from where everyone else is. So Gucci later reveals he lived in Silent Hill and saved Alyssa from the fire. So there's some interesting character connections here that we're kind of encountering throughout the story. He encourages Christopher to end his futile search because they're in a completely other realm. Like, this is not... They're not even in reality right now. So, in the Silent Hill dimension, Rose encounters the girl again, revealed to be an aspect of Alyssa, like her dark side, I guess. So, when the town transitions into the dark dimension, Rose, Sybil, and Anna, a Brethren member, flee to an old church, but Pyramid Head catches and flays Anna alive. There's some pretty gory things, and I mean, I've heard people talk about how gory and how messed up this movie is, but I don't know, I didn't see it as that bad. I feel like it's definitely tolerable. I think the gore definitely is. But, Brethren members lead Rose and Sybil to a hospital, claiming the demon that has taken Sharon is in the basement, and they have to, like, fight it off or whatever. So, upon noticing an image of Sharon in Rose's locket, Christabella, the high priestess of the Brethren, identifies Sharon as a likeness of Alyssa, and she realizes, oh, these people are witches. These are bad people to our cult. Like, no, they're not. You guys are evil, if anything. And there's some interesting reflective moments that go into this movie as we wind down. So she decries the two women as witches and orders her brethren to stop them. Sybil holds them off while Rose descends into the basement, but is quickly subdued and captured. They want these people dead, obviously, because they are related to this Alyssa girl. It's kind of confusing, like, why would they be mad at this girl? It's weird to me, but Rose explores the basement, but is barricaded by a group of disfigured nurses. They look really weird. It's the people right there with, like, the faces. You can't really see their faces. That's the nurses. So she sneaks back past them and enters Alyssa's room. So in a flashback, it was revealed that Alyssa was stigmatized by the townspeople for being born out of wedlock. So it's like a sinful thing. A bastard child is what people call it in culture. I don't know. But Christabella convinced Dahlia to purify Alyssa after Alyssa was raped by the school janitor. That's fucking crazy. Christabella immolated Alyssa during a ritual in 1974, but Dahlia alerted Gucci. The pair arrived too late, and the ritual went awry, igniting the Colosseum fire. That's the origin story. Everything kind of makes sense when you go through the flashbacks and they explain things. So hospitalized and in excruciating pain, Alyssa's rage split her soul apart, one half manifesting as the dark entity responsible for the shifting demons of Silent Hill. This is like the girl that ran into the road and pretty much caused all this to go down in the first place. So her remaining innocence manifested as Sharon, who was taken to the real world to be adopted. It's really interesting. So desperate to find Sharon, Rose allows Dark Alyssa's spirit into her body, allowing it access to the church. So Sharon, despite being protected by Dahlia, is captured by the Brethren, and they're gonna, like, burn her alive and whatnot. So in the church, Christabella burns Sybil as a witch and plans to do the same to Sharon, because they're from the outside world and they break the morals and they're, like, connected to this past event that was tragic to them, and yeah. So Rose confronts Christabella, denouncing her as a murderer before Christabella stabs Rose in the heart. And we think, oh, she's long gone. And it was actually really interesting when I was watching. I was like, damn, they're just going to kill the main character like that? I don't know. Or the main hero, I guess. Maybe not the main character, but yeah. I guess she was kind of the main character. I don't know. But the story kind of centers around Sharon, which is funny. But Alyssa emerges from the blood flowing from the wound as a disfigured being bound to a hospital bed and tears Christabella and her followers apart with razor wire. This is some pretty wicked-ass shit that I saw out of this scene. I don't know. Rose rescues Sharon, and Sharon and Alyssa, Dark Alyssa, reunite into one body so they become one entity. And obviously Sharon acts different because of that. Rose and Alyssa leave the town and return home. Upon arriving, they discover they're still in the foggy dimension, separated from reality. They're never going to reach reality again, which is like the harsh bit of it all. It's like you're not going to have the perfect happy ending for the movie, and I like movies that go in that direction. But, yeah. It's their house. It's like the Upside Down in Stranger Things, if you've seen that, you know. So meanwhile, Christopher awakens alone in the real world and discovers that the front doors mysteriously open, so maybe they're back as spirits, maybe Dark Alyssa went there. The ending's kind of up for interpretation, which I don't mind. Let's get into the review. I mean, there's a lot to say about this movie because for its time it was pretty iconic. It was a video game adaptation. It's going to be pretty popular. Gamer culture is quite crazy. And yeah, I mean, advanced screenings weren't given to critics. That's an interesting detail about this movie. some people don't like it, but I don't think it's as bad as people say it is. I mean, some people say, I don't know. Silent Hill is definitely visually impressive, but as with many video game adaptations, it's plagued by inane dialogue, a muddled plot, and an overlong runtime. I will say the runtime is a little much. I wish they would have trimmed this down a little bit, because some things you're just standing on a gray screen for a solid 30 seconds. It's like, why was this in the movie? Not really sure. But people don't like this movie. They say it's average to bad. I don't think that. I think it's a pretty solid movie. Obviously, if I played the game and I had appreciation for the franchise a little more, maybe I would have a different opinion. But as just a standalone movie, I don't think it's that bad. Yeah, I mean, it is definitely overlong. There's some pretty unnecessary scenes. A lot of the movie seems like pointless running around. It looks great. It packs a few scary moments and offers a nicely ambiguous conclusion, but some parts were a little unnecessary. Like, is this movie really essential in the horror genre? I don't know. I guess that's up to you guys to decide. But it's an incredibly good looking film. I mean, the story is kind of hard to understand too. I mean, all through the movie, characters are pausing in order to offer arcane backstories and historical perspectives and metaphysical insights and occult orientations. The movie, yeah, there's definitely some pause moments on the movie, and I don't think that's necessarily a good thing in this case, because when you're playing the video games are supposed to be like ADHD oriented, like you're supposed to be entertained. You don't go to a video game and expect a 20-minute cutscene of doing nothing. But that's kind of what this movie does. It's really interesting. I mean, the visuals were great. I mean, like I said, this entire film is downright confusing. Not really intriguing confusing to some. It's like a really good-looking bad film. That's all there is. I'll say that over and over again, but that's really all there is to talk about it. I mean, very startling stuff. I mean, Silent Hill is mostly paralyzing in its vagueness. Above average interest is generated for a time by the elaborate visual package. In the end, Silent Hill degenerates into an overblown replay of all those Twilight Zone and Stephen King stories in which outsiders stumble upon a time-warped location from which there's no escape. It's very cliche. It definitely is cliche, I'll give you that. It begins as a quest, develops into a ghost town mystery, devolves into a preposterous cautionary tale about witchcraft and religious fundamentalism, and wraps up like the outrageously overwrought fantasy of a movie nerd obsessed with horror who's been given obscene amounts of money to adapt a video game. I mean, the budget was definitely crazy for this movie. It really was. Silent Hill was not the first video game adaptation that ever made it to the screen, but I don't know. Over time, people thought that it got a little better. It might have aged better. While horror seekers and video game fans of 2006 bristled at the fact that the movie didn't stay true to the source material, a decade of mostly bad Silent Hill entries has proven just how good the original was. And I'm happy, that's what people are saying about the follow-ups, and I'm happy I didn't watch the other ones, because now I can actually be happy that this is just standalone to me. So, I'm out, guys. I'm sorry there's not really much of an outro. I gotta get these clips together, get it exported, get the thumbnail together so I can post it for you guys first thing in the morning, Tuesday morning, or Wednesday morning. And, yeah, catch you guys in the next one.